You know she got mine. Smile on my face, I'm gonna keep on trying. A winner, you never quit. I said a winner, I never quit. You got to do the best you can, because a winner don't never win. Oh yeah, everybody. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. When rain or fall, you better preach, so live with the all. But one of these days, my shit will come in, and that's the day that I'm gonna win. 'Cause a winner, you never quit. And a winner, you never quit. You got to do the best you can, because a winner, you'll never win. Oh yeah, everybody. Oh yeah, I'm talking about. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Every man should try to reach his goal. So keep on. Now everything that's within the law. You might lose a battle, but you win the war. 'Cause a winner, you never quit. A winner, you never quit. You got to do the best you can, because a quitter will never win. Oh yeah, oh yeah, everybody. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Now when you feel a little weary, your wings get dark and dreary. Now when the tears fall like rain, feel like you're gonna go insane. When you feel just a little bad now. Listen to the sound of a drummer, dancing to the beat of my heart. Feel that bass, begin to bass, tearing my brain apart. Oh, I never ever felt like this before, but all I can say is, Mama, give me some more. Turning my heartbeat up, turning my heartbeat up. It's getting harder, turning my heartbeat up, turning my heartbeat up. I can just tell you, turning my heartbeat up, you're turning my heartbeat up.
Good morning, friends. My name is Ian Lavery. I'm the National Election Campaign Coordinator jointly with my good colleague Andrew Gwynn, and also a proud member of Jeremy Corbyn's shadow cabinet. You'd like to colleagues, it's a great privilege for somebody like me to address a fantastic audience like this in London. I was a former coal miner. I'm a working class individual from the north, not that you'll know it from my accent. But it's a great honour to be part of Jeremy Corbyn's project. This is so important, and I hope to make a number of points as I go along very briefly this morning. Not only this time last week, the fantastic Labour activists up and down this country were chalking up thousands of conversations with voters about mayoral contests, about council elections, and this week here we are on the cusp of the general election. And let's not forget that the Prime Minister, Mrs May, said on numerous occasions, many occasions, that there would not be any general election called. Another broken promise and another huge, if not the biggest U-turn as Prime Minister. Absolutely outrageous. If you cannot believe the Prime Minister in the words she puts before the people on the likes of the general election, why should we be expected to believe anything Theresa May says? I think that's simple about it. When we look at the fact that Theresa May is putting the Conservative Party, the Tories, before the country, and she believes that this is a foregone conclusion. I'm sure everyone in this room agrees with me. Of course it isn't a foregone conclusion, because we're up for the fight. Comrades, this is a golden opportunity for the Labour Party. It's a fantastic opportunity to change the narrative of this country, to make and develop a new vision, give people some hope where there's current despair. We want to change the lives of ordinary people. And at the same time, Theresa May wants to make this election about Brexit and about getting a blank check as she negotiates our exit from the EU. We cannot allow the Prime Minister unhindered to deliver a Brexit sausage, bacon, eggs, working class food. Comrades, we cannot allow Theresa May unhindered to deliver a Brexit that will boost fat cats and Tory donors and leave the environment, consumers, and working people worthless. This election cannot be about powerful people. This election is about people power. So, comrades, we need to look at the communities which have been left behind for far too long. People who believe there haven't got any say in how the world works and there isn't any way in which it can be changed. We need to be bold, imaginative. We need to give people an offer. We need to be able to knock on people's doors and say, this is what Labour stands for. We're there to help you. This is what Labour actually stands for. And that's what the party intends to do. Britain, comrades, friends, brothers, sisters, Britain is better than forcing families to live on support from food banks. We've got working families, working 40-odd hours a week, but still not having enough to feed their kids or clothe their kids. Is that what we want in today's society? Of course it isn't. And comrades, we need to look, in my view, about child poverty. Child poverty, let's go. Let's get ready. We're one of the richest economies in the world, and we're not feeding our kids. Can that be right? And let me tell you, it's a political choice. It's a political choice whether we feed the kids or not. We've got starving kids. There'll be people run back after the summer holidays back into the schools, malnourished because they haven't been able to get a square meal during the holidays. Britain's better than that. And Britain's better than seeing obscene numbers of people in insecure and low-paying work. We're better than saber-rattling with our European neighbours. And we're better than allowing multinational corporations to get away without paying their fair share, or forcing smaller companies to the brink of extinction. We're better than seeing these school budgets slashed. And we're better than seeing the NHS run into the ground as well. Colleagues, Britain is better than underfunding our fantastic public services and treating the many fantastic people on the front line like the enemy instead of the heroes who really are. Let's face it, friends, Britain would be better under a Jeremy Corbyn Labour Party. Let's have a quick look at what's been announced in the past few weeks. And I think it's fantastic. Free school meals for all children aged 4 to 11. A £10 minimum wage for all over 18 years of age. Renationalise the UK railways and end the franchises as they come along. £500 extra for unpaid carers and renational the NHS saving £5 billion in profits to private health. We've built 200,000 homes. We've built 200,000 homes a year, including 100,000 council homes. Tell you what else. We'll be looking to reverse and end a whole number of policies as well. We'll reverse the Tory inheritance tax cut. We'll reverse the Tory corporation tax cut. We'll ban firms and tax havens bidding for government contracts. We'll end the public sector pay freeze. We'll end sweetheart deals by the HMRC or multinationals. We'll halt the opening of grammars and free schools. We'll also ban late payments for SMEs and scrap Tory business rate hikes. We'll end the gender pay gap, ban 0-hour contracts. Hey, not bad for the last 10 years, colleagues, is it? And that's only the start. The Labour Party's never had it easy in trying to change Britain for the better. But you know, it's not called the struggle for nothing. We've always had to struggle to deliver for the people that we represent. You know what? The struggle's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing communicating with ordinary people up and down the country in our communities. And today's story isn't any different. We'll not get a fair hearing from the press, but we certainly will not give up the fight for a fairer future for our country. We need to take our message out to every city, every town, every village, every doorstep. We need to speak to people, articulate the arguments which we have for a better Britain. We need to challenge injustice. We need to challenge racism, fascism, and we need to challenge them with those on the far right, nose to nose, if that's what it takes. Comrades, colleagues, we take up the fight. I don't buy the idea that we can't win this election. 3 days in, and I think from what I've just said in 5 minutes, you can see how we can change the political landscape of this fantastic country, which we're all so proud of. So we need to get our act together. We need to get out there and tackle the inequities, the inequalities, the unfairness. And remember, and I say this loudly, unity is strength, colleagues. Let the battle commence for the premiership of this nation. Thank you. Comrades, colleagues, friends, it's an absolute honour for me to introduce this morning to you the next Prime Minister of the UK, Jeremy Corbyn.
Okay. a sense, the establishment and capitals in the media are quite right. I don't play by their rules. And the Labour government is elected on the 8th of June. We won't play by their rules either. They are yesterday's rules set by failed political and corporate elites, which should be consigned to the past. It is these rules that allow the cozy cartel to rig the system in favour of a few powerful and wealthy individuals and corporations. It's a rigged system set up by the wealth extractors for the wealth extractors. But things can and will change. Britain needs a Labour government that is prepared to fight for people in every part of the country, our towns, villages, as well as the cities. A Labour government that isn't scared to take on the cosy cartels that are hoarding this country's wealth themselves. It is a government that will use that wealth to invest in people's lives in every community, to build a better future for every person who lives here. Because Conservatives, drunk of failed ideology, are hell-bent on cutting every public service they can get their hands on. They will use all the divide and rule tactics of Linton Crosby trade to keep their rigged system intact. Don't be angry at the frontiers profiting from our public service. Be angry instead at the migrant worker just trying to make a better life. Don't be angry at government ministers running down our schools and hospitals, they tell us. Be angry instead at the disabled woman or the unemployed man. It's the rigged economy that Tories are protecting that Labour is committed to changing. We will not let the elite extract wealth from the pockets of ordinary working people anymore. So many people in modern Britain do what seems to be like the right thing to do. They get jobs. They spend all day working hard. They save to buy their own home. They raise children. They look after elderly or sick relatives. And yet, at the end of it, they get almost nothing left over as a reward. Compare their lives with the multinational corporations and the gilded elite who hide their money in the Cayman Islands. The Conservatives are too morally bankrupt to take them on and collect the taxes. Labour will end this racket and make sure that everyone pays their taxes, which fund our public service. We will overturn the rigged system. For all the reason as warm birds on the steps of Downing Street, the Conservatives will never do any such thing. 7 years of broken promises show us that. On pay, firstly, the deficit, the NHS, our schools, our environment. If they're wealthy friends of the city who crash our economy, how dare they ruin the economy with their recklessness and greed, and then punish those who had nothing to do with it? It was not pensioners, nurses, lower average paid workers or carers who crashed the economy. We know who did that. The Conservatives boast of record numbers of jobs. But what good is it if people are working and getting poor and don't share in profits of that economy? The Conservatives look after wealthy few. Our offer is to tackle elderly poverty and loneliness, invest in our economy, national health service and schools, to improve rights at work and a £10 living wage for all workers. Britain is the sixth richest economy in the world, and people of Britain must share in that wealth. If I was Southern Rail, or if I were Fit Green, I'd be worried about a Labour government. I really would. If I were Mike Ashley, or the CEO of a tax-avoiding multinational corporation, I'd want to see a Tory victory. I really would. Why? Because those are the people who are monopolising the wealth that should be shared by each and every one of us in the whole country. Everyone, and I mean everyone, has a contribution to make and a life to lead. Poverty and homelessness are a disaster for the individual, but they're also a loss for all of us of that talent and that ambition that isn't fulfilled because of poverty and deprivation in which people are living. It is wealth that should belong to the majority and not a tiny minority. Labour is the party that will put the interests of the majority first, while the Tories only really care about those who already have so much. That is why we will prove the establishment experts wrong and change the direction of this election. Because the British people know that they are the true wealth creators, held back by a system rigged for the wealth extractors. Theresa May will insist that this is an election about Brexit. She will try to downplay the issues that affect people's lives every day, and instead turn the election into an ego trip about her own failing leadership and machinations of coming negotiations in Brussels. It is only Labour that will focus on what kind of country we want to have after Brexit. In the coming weeks, Labour will lay out our policies to unlock opportunities for every single person in this country. We will focus on giving people real control over their own lives and make sure that everyone reaps a just reward for the work they do. We will no longer allow those at the top to leech off those who bust their guts on 0 hours contracts, or those forced to make sacrifices to pay their mortgage or to pay their rent. Instead of the country's wealth being hidden in tax havens, we will put it in the hands of the people of Britain, as they're the ones who earn. In this election, Labour will lead the movement to make that change. We will build a new economy worthy of the 21st century, and we'll build a country for the many, not the few.
Thank you, everyone. I don't want to stop the applause, honestly, I don't. But we'll have to, we're going to break the position and get some questions in. Thank you all so much. My name is Dawn Butler, and I'm the Member of Parliament for Brent Central. And, I was one from Brent, just to there. Thank you. Hi, Mum. It's the fight on. The fight is absolutely on. Yeah. Absolutely. And I want to thank the leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, for just telling it how it is and how we're going to take this fight to this current Conservative government. So we're going to take some questions now. We're going to break the tradition. We're going to take some questions. We're going to take some questions from the media. And then hopefully we'll have a chance to take some questions from the audience. I'm going to try and get as many questions in as possible because we're on a limited time. So I'll take them in groups of 3. And if you can say who you are and where you're from, that would help very much. So you can just raise your hand if you want to ask questions. Okay, I'm going to go for it. Yeah, obviously I'm going to go the lady in red first.
Thank you very much. Laura Cooper, BBC News. Mr Corbyn, what is it that you hope to show to voters in the next 7 weeks beyond this room that they haven't seen in the last 2 years since being a party leader?
Thank you very much. Can I ask another one? I can't help going to women, I'm so sorry. Women,
Libina ITV News. Mr Corbyn, you say that you want to speak for the many, not the few, but your poll ratings of something like 14 or 15% suggest that only a very few people believe you, and if you attack the elite, aren't you effectively just part of an Islington elite? It doesn't reflect you.
It's all right, you can handle it. Okay, if I'm saying I'm going to take a man at a time. Very hard from time.
And Channel 5 News, Mr Corbyn, do you anticipate raising taxes for some people? I'm not talking about crackdown on taxation, but actually some people having to pay more taxes, not just the wealthy tax orders. Can you say at what point you think that will kick in? Who do you think is wealthy enough to pay some more taxes?
Great, thank you very much. Over to Peter.
Laura, thanks very much for your question, and thank you for the other questions as well. This is an opportunity election to get our message out of hope and opportunity for people all around the country. to get a message out that there doesn't have to be people homeless. You don't have to be waiting forever for hospital appointment or operation. And you do have some chance of security when you get older. And so our policies will reach out to deal with issues of social injustice and inequality within our society. And in that reaching out, we will include a lot of people. We've set out some of our policies in the last 10 days about minimum wage, about the way in which small businesses are so badly treated by very big businesses and how they deserve to be better treated. We've set out our policies on carers allowances. We've set out a policy to make sure that every child gets a free school meal every day, but they all eat together. So they grow up together, eating together, learn together. That's the basis of a strong community and a strong society. Our message is one of inclusion and social justice, and we're going to get that message out across the whole country. And I'm very confident in that. We started the campaign on the streets yesterday in Quickly. We'll be travelling the length and breadth of the country to get that message across. And our plans will be fully costed and will be all accounted for and paid for when the manifesto is published. The plans we've set out so far are already costed. And yes, at the very top end, the very, very top end, we won't be cutting corporation tax, which is what this Tory government is doing. We won't be handing £70 billion back to the biggest businesses and corporations and the very wealthiest people in this country. This government has got us more into debt than all of the other Labour governments combined in British history in order to cut services and give tax giveaways at the top end. Our priority is absolutely the other way around. And as to your very helpful question about the elites, I am very proud to represent Islington North in Parliament. And it's absolutely true, there are people in Islington who buy and drink cappuccino every day. It's absolutely true. I know many of them. But it's also true that 40% of our children are living in poverty. It's also true there are people sitting on the streets of our borough, as there are all over this country. So don't run away with this idea that everyone who lives in London is living a life of right and is very wealthy. It's not the case. House prices are driving many people out. I want a government that deals with the housing crisis for the whole country. I want a government that deals with employment issues for the whole country. So, in former mine communities that have had no investment, have high levels of unemployment, have high levels of deprivation. I want a Labour government and a National Investment Bank to invest in those communities and bring hope and opportunities for those people just as much as I want to conquer homelessness on the streets of London, Birmingham or Manchester. It's the whole country we're talking about. You very helpfully mentioned the opinion polls, and I'm really grateful to you for that. It's really kind of you, and I'm really pleased about that. All I can say is, in 2015, almost exactly 2 years ago, I was given 201 as an outside chance.
My young people read was called a mic drop. Isn't it great we've got a politician who actually answers the question? Can you imagine? Can you imagine just how effective Prime Minister's question would be if Jeremy was actually there answering the question? I'll take a few more. Okay, there's only men putting their hands up now. Okay, I'm going to take. Don't worry, I'll come to you. I'll take the hand at the back. Yes, yeah, the man here. With a blue shirt? And a dimple. The blue shirt? Oh, it was the other one, actually. Yeah.
Mr. Corbyn, man with a blue shirt.
Hi. Paul Wall from the Huffington Post.
Hi, Paul.
Mr. Corbyn, can you tell us, you talk about the rigged system today. In your opinion, how are you going to precisely change the rigged system? And was New Labour part of that rigged system, in your opinion?
Thank you. Anyone else? I think we need more women in journalism. Okay. This lady there with the brown hair.
Thanks to Mara Cohen from Sky News. Mr. Corbyn, we're about to go to the polls nationally for the third time in 3 years. We're hearing reports today that some in your party want you to call for a second referendum on the deal we struck with the EU after we leave. Is that right? Are you considering it, or do you want to rule it out?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm not going to vote. Deal was a bad deal. And that lady there with the flowery top.
Thank you. Compliment on my fashion. See about the
Very
question.
lovely.
Martha Cunny from BBC World at One. You were described earlier as the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Judging by the opinion poll, again, I'm afraid a lot of people have questions to ask you about that. You've outlined a number of policies recently. Do you ever worry that Labour, the policy itself may be popular, but Labour under you has become a tainted brand?
Oh, you've got such a lovely top on as well. Okay, back over to you, Jeremy.
Thanks, Dawn. Yeah, Paul, the way the system is rigged goes something like this. Multinational corporations play around with pricing systems in order to earn money in one country and pay lower tax in another. They play around with taxation systems by cutting off profit and putting them in tax havens, which are then not bothered to chase down. And we have a government that's far too ready to negotiate with very big companies about the level of tax they should pay. Now look, I'm sure you pay your tax, I know you do, because you're the kind of chap. But you don't call up the HMRC and say, well, look, let's cut a deal on this. You think I owe 10,000, I think I owe 5, give you 7.5, that'd be all right. It doesn't work like that for ordinary people, and it never should. And it shouldn't work like that at the top end either. And so John McDonnell, who's here in the audience, announced a couple of days ago that we would want the full tax returns of all medium and larger corporations to be published so everybody can see what is going on. I think that will help to open up that system, and we will then have a much fairer system. Because if you think about it, low paid and unpaid tax of very big corporations falls on who? It falls on small businesses that cannot evade it, who have to pay it because they're small and have no opportunity to do otherwise. It falls on everybody else, or it falls on public sector workers who lose their jobs because there isn't enough money to pay for those services. It's short-changing our schools, our hospitals, and our housing budget if business doesn't pay the tax they should. John McDonnell will chase it down. There are elections coming up on June the 8th. There's also the mayoral elections and the county council election coming up on May the 4th. We are a large party. We're campaigning all over the country, in every part, and we're putting forward policies of what will be a more socially just, more cohesive society in this country. The European Union negotiations are going on, and we've set out our lines on negotiation. Primarily, it is about gaining, retaining tariff-free access to the European market. We haven't threatened to turn Britain into an offshore tax haven on the shore of Europe to undermine every European economy. We've instead said we want to work with them to have an agreed process by which we continue to trade with Europe. Because walking away and trading under World Trade Organization conditions will mean that the manufacturing industry in this country would be severely damaged. Every manufacturing enterprise in this country relies on importing materials from Europe or sales to Europe. And in some cases, in complicated productions, the parts cross the channel several times as they're being fabricated in the aircraft industry and others. It is an integrated and complicated production process. The idea that you can simply approach these negotiations by threatening to set up a tax haven and help take the hindmost to the rest of people is simply not a sensible way of negotiating. So I have reached out to socialist colleagues all across Europe ever since I became the leader of the party, and I invited them all to come to London in February for discussion about our approach and what relationships we want with them in the future. And those lines of negotiation will be the one that we as a Labour government negotiate with Europe on. We want to work with Europe, accept the result of the referendum, but there still has to be an economic relationship with Europe. And we're not going to tear up the workers' rights agenda, the environmental protection agenda, or the human rights agenda. The idea that Labour is somehow or other, as you kindly describe it, a tainted brand. Well, there are people in the audience that are wearing badges of Keir Hardie. He was vilified beyond belief when he was elected as the first ever Labour MP. They said, how could a working man go to Parliament to represent people? Anyone who stands up, create a better, fairer, or decent society gets vilified. Our party gets vilified. But I tell you what, we're bigger than we've ever been, stronger than we've ever been, and we're more determined than we've ever been.
so sorry, we're now out of time. I know, but isn't it great to end on a stand ovation? Woo. So, there's one undisputed fact. June always marks the end of May. Thank you very much.